Good evening. Welcome to Major Applications Planning Committee. Can I do apologies for absence first, please?
Apologies from Councillor Radia and Councillor Haggai substituting.
Thank you. Any declarations of interest?
I need to declare a non-pecuniary interest in agenda item 10 only, not 11, as I believe I reported the infringement some years ago. I believe.
Okay, in which case I will reverse the running order and do 11 before 10, and then you can depart.
Have an early bar. Thank you
very
much. I
you
appreciate that. Very considerate. Thank you.
Well, I do my best. Oh, I do the same on all sides. You know, you can find an objection late on in the agenda. You can get away with it. The minutes of the meeting, 14th November. Can I take those agreed, please? Thank you. As we just commented, item 6, Bourne Court, South Ruislip, was withdrawn from the agenda by the head of planning earlier today and is not being taken tonight. Apart from that, we are taking all the Part 1 items that were in the report. I will take 11 before 10 just to make our lives easy. There are no petitions at all tonight, so I'm presuming the very small audience that's now arriving is various agents and applicants who are interested in one or more. We'll work out what it is as we go. And I also a warm welcome to those who may watch proceedings on YouTube and not come out and get cold tonight, which is probably a much more viable way to do it. I think most people around the table are well known. The presenting team tonight, we have a duo. Hardip Rayat, this is his first presentations to majors, so welcome. And Ed Lawton has been here before, once or twice, and they're going to kind of alternate, so we'll see what happens. Apart from that, I think we will kick off, please, with the reserved matters for item 7, the old vinyl factory, Blythe Road, Hayes, on page 57 of your agendas.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 7 on the agenda is a reserved matters application for the assembly buildings within the old vinyl factory in Hayes. The reserved matters for consideration are appearance and landscaping only, with other matters resolved at outline stage. This is the final phase to be determined under the outline consent for the old vinyl factory site. The assembly buildings are proposed to be located within the centre of the site as per the outline consent and would therefore be surrounded by existing buildings. The application proposes 181 residential units located within 3 blocks over a 2-storey podium with commercial uses at ground floor level. Now, if I can take members through the proposed plans. It's the site location plan. It's the constraints plan. You'll see, if I can use the pointer, these are the listed buildings around the site. So you've got the record store, the powerhouse, the locally listed record store, locally listed powerhouse, the locally listed pressing plant, the Jubilee building, and the shipping building. And then we have the statutorily listed enterprise house. Here's the site location, and on this plan you can see the groove, which is the public realm that runs through the old vinyl factory and is of exceptionally high quality. Here are some of the landscaping proposals. This plan shows you again the groove, and this is the suds areas. This will be permeable paving. And members will note here is an external play area which has actually become larger through this proposal from the outline consent. Again, further details of landscaping. This is the podium landscaping, which includes a large area of play for younger children. Further details of proposed landscaping. You can see the detail and quality that the applicants have gone into for the podium area. This is the unit mix, and then this is the floor plans. So with this plan you can see the retail units that would be located externally around the building. Here's the main entrance to the site for residents, and then on this level is parking, which will be accessed at this point. If I go up a level, you'll see the retail units are all double height, which is considered more likely to make them thrive and is more popular with potential future users. And then there's again another level of car parking. And then above we have the podium and the 3 blocks of residential. And we'll go up through the levels. And there's a slight step back to the south to provide more podium landscaping, and then a roof landscape. So there's further details of what the landscaping is going to be proposed. Remember, this is reserved matters for appearance and landscaping. So a close-up of the southern section of the block, and I'll explain why. So there's here's a cut through of the site which shows the building to the south and the UTC to the north. These two buildings are quite close, so as detailed in my report, there are some windows which were affected, but you'll note in the addendum there's a condition that recommends the use of oriel windows to resolve that loss of privacy. So if I can just go through the elevations. This is a section through the site where you can see the double section of parking and then the podium above. To the rear, cut through again, and further sections. This is an aerial photograph of the site, but the site has developed quite a lot since this was taken. So the next slide is actually a photograph from distance, and on this slide you can see where the building would be, the assembly buildings in here. Now this side has also got the new material store, the UTC, the powerhouse, and the music box car park. So the locally listed buildings I was talking about before are these ones here, and this is the statutorily listed enterprise house. Now if I can just go forwards, these are photographs of the site at the moment. That's the adjacent material store. That's the record store, which has been refurbished as part of the outline consent. Close-up of the material store. This is the cabinet building. Members might recall the wrap that came before them previously. And here's that's Nipper the dog, which relates back to the previous use of the site. Obviously that will be moving to another part of the site should members decide to grant planning consent for the reserved matter this evening. This is the University Technical College, which is to the north. We hope to see some signage on this building soon. This is the powerhouse. And then here are some CGIs which the applicant has produced for the proposal. Now I think these slides are quite important because the elevations don't really show you the quality of the proposal as put before us. Myself and the Council's urban designer spent a long time going over these proposals, working with the applicant to increase the quality. And the critical thing is the materials being used are of really high quality. So we're quite happy with the proposals. Here's the groove, and it's a nighttime view with the retail units at the lower level, and again looking along the groove. So the application accords with the outline consent in terms of the proposed uses, parking levels, accessible unit numbers, the footprint of the building and its general scale and massing. The proposal will bring the total number of residential units consented on the old vinyl factory site to 505, which is within the 510 units consented outline stage. The outline consent approved 26 affordable housing units to be located within the assembly building. However, following the council triggering a review mechanism, this provision has now doubled to 52 affordable housing units, which the applicant has confirmed as part of this submission. The assembly buildings are considered a high-quality addition to the old vinyl factory development, which in itself is considered an exemplar mixed-use development for Hayes. The proposed scheme is considered to reinforce the transformation of the area, which cannot be achieved without signature developments such as the old vinyl factory site. The level of play area has been increased externally from the outline consent, and podium landscaping is high quality and well considered. The proposed assembly buildings are a positive response to a constrained site and deemed to be exceptionally high quality with regards to materials and finishes. The building is also truly mixed use for the ground floor retail uses that would animate the main public realm areas. The proposed assembly buildings are considered to be a scheme that would add to the success of the old vinyl factory site, and for these reasons the development is strongly supported in design and regeneration terms. Members will note there are a small number of addendum items, including the oriel windows condition and clarification of parking numbers. No objections to the application have been received from members of the public. Thank you, Chairman.
Who's going to start me off? Councillor Edwards, please.
Thank you very much. On the surface, it appears very attractive. Certainly, the images are very good. I would just like to ask one question on the daylight sunlight study that was done. Was that done with the wider block, tower block elements, or was it done with the original size blocks? does the broadening of it have an impact?
My understanding is that it was done on the scheme put in front of you.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Duncan, you indicated?
Thank you, Chair. Can you tell me how many trees are going to be planted on this site, please?
I could. It would take me some time to count them all up, but there are no trees at all on the site at the moment, so there's a significant increase.
I am aware of that, but it's very hard to tell from the plans exactly how many are trees, and I think it's a consideration now, which I think we've all agreed, albeit informally, that when there are discussions about landscape, that we try and have those that are as pollution absorbing and processing as possible, and particularly as this is a very polluted area with more development going into it. Can you tell me if those points were taken on board when the discussions were held? I don't see anything in the landscape architect's comments.
So the landscape architect has been involved throughout pre-application discussions on this site. One of the things that we made sure that the applicant provided was a podium level of soil that was deep enough to support trees. So there will be trees within the podium area. I'd have to look through the plans carefully to count the number of trees they're proposed though.
Thank you. Presumably, as it's on podium level, there's going to be a limit to the number of specimen trees that they would support, because specimen trees are the ones that live for decades, etc. So it's not like flowering cherries or, that kind of tree. Do we know how many, or we're simply not aware of that information?
We can look into the number of trees. There are trees proposed in the public realm area as well, and the public realm, the design of the public realm ties in with the wider
to move
site.
this discussion forward, I think the answer to Councillor's question is at this point that information is not available. Whether it's available further into the notes is a different debate.
I'm sure that a lot of work has gone into this. I'm sorry that we don't have the numbers here. I realise that it is an increase from what we already have at the present time, but because it is such a large site, it's therefore important to maximise what we can in terms of a positive input in relation to pollution. Town centre, large number of people living here, very high pollution levels, as we know. So I would just like those to be maximised. I don't suppose there's much opportunity to do any of that now, but if there is, in terms of specification of type, I would ask that that be done, please.
Condition 2 basically is compliance with the supporting information. It mentions the landscape maintenance and management plan and the planting schedule. Would members want officers to be more detailed in that condition, to actually spell out the number of semi-mature trees? And I think what Ed's saying is that there is a good scheme, we just don't know the numbers, but to ensure that good scheme is carried forward, we could, if I use a non-technical word, beef up condition 2 to actually spell out all of the details we currently have, so that at a later date nobody dumbs down the scheme.
That would seem to make sense, and I'm not sensing anybody else has an issue with that. So let me just,
rather than an absolute number, could they put in as a minimum?
Yeah.
So they can always enhance it, but not detract from it.
The minimum will become the maximum, as is the way with this world. That is always the case. No, but I think the minimum will rapidly become the maximum. Councillor Morse, you were the next indicated.
Yes. Basically, I think the design effort that's gone in here looks impressive. I think possibly the only aspect we would bring out about this, and it's not entirely the planning department's problem, is the more concept of how you can control the environment in terms of pollution. I appreciate there's limits to what you can do, but I think that from our side, that would be the point we would like to make, that perhaps more detail should be put into consideration of that. Because we're basically in a position where developers lead us, whereas perhaps we should be injecting some ideas.
Out of the discussion process. Any other comments on this one, Councillor Oswald?
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. I mean, trees, well, it's a positive, isn't it? And it would be nice to have had the information, but anyway, I won't prolong that. I think it's all right. I'm quite happy that it started to tidy the area up, basically. Industrially, it hasn't been used for quite a number of years, and it just doesn't look good. If a place is busy, then it's different. People are moving about in it all the time, and it just looks different. But when factories like that and industrial units are just left empty and not doing anything at all, I think this is, like the trees, I think this is a positive. It's tidied the area up. I'm quite happy with it, and I'm quite happy to move the officer's recommendations.
I was hoping you might. Do you have a seconder, Councillor Edwards?
Very pleased to second that.
Okay, so the only change we will make is we'll delegate to the Head of Planning, please, to add the specifics into condition 2. Doesn't need to come back to us. All those in favour of approval, please clearly show. Thank you. That's approved. I will just, there are a lot of people who've joined us since we started. I'm hoping that you're all applicants or agents for items 8 to 11 on my agendas. If you've got anything to do with item 6, that has been pulled from the agenda. So if as long as you're for the rest, you're in the right place. The next one I've got is agenda item 8, Eagle House, the runway, Ruislip. Howdy.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, members. Item 8 is Eagle House on the runway in Ruislip. The proposal involves plan permission is sought for the demolition of the existing vacant office building and the erection of a 79-bedroom hotel with a restaurant, 21 car parking spaces, landscaping, and the replacement of an existing pedestrian access to Odyssey Business Park. Just in terms of the principle of development, the proposal is in accordance with policy and there is no in-principle objection. Emerging policy SA21 of the site allocations was withdrawn during the examination process, and as such, members only need to consider this proposal as a change of use from offices to hotel. Members should note that there is an addendum on this item which clarifies some of the existing planning conditions and additional text to confirm that the proposal is in accordance with policy and regulations relating to accessibility and waste. And if I can now take you through the plans. That is the site location, identified in red. That's the constraints plan. Not shown there is that the site is within an air quality management area. That's the site there in red. To the immediate west here is Odyssey Business Park. You've got the railway lines running north and northeast. The leisure development, the old Arla development site further to the north on the other side of the railway lines, and the runway here. That's the existing vacant office block, which is a 3-storey office block. Currently has parking for around 46 vehicles. There's limited landscaping, and as a site has been vacant since 2015. That's the existing office block as is. That's the views looking down the runway. And this is the proposal for the hotel. As you can see, at ground floor, there are a small number of accessible rooms along with 2 stair cores that lead up to the upper levels. The first to third floor plans are repetitive and offer a range of double rooms and larger rooms, including accessible bedrooms. And then you can see there's a proposed flat roof, which is actually a green roof with PV panels as well. That's the landscaping plan there. So, as you can see, this is the footprint of the building, which is being pushed back towards the site, allowing for new access and parking to the front, increasing the separation distances from the existing buildings here and here on the runway. There's a total of 21 car parking spaces, including 2 disabled bays, with room to allow for suitable for service vehicles to enter the site here. Just going through the elevations. Total height of the building to the lift run is 12.3 metres. To the parapet it is 11.45 metres. That's the height there in relation to the Odyssey and the floodlights. So it's no higher than the existing buildings and floodlights. and these are some CGIs of the proposal. Review, and here are some photos of the existing site. Views looking down the runway. That's the existing access to Odyssey Business Park, which will be modified. The proposed redevelopment will regenerate the site with a modern and well-designed building with new landscaping areas which will improve the visual amenity of the area, particularly when viewed from the runway. The general design, size, height and massing of the proposed building is considered to be acceptable. In addition, it is not considered that the development would have any detrimental impact on the street scene or upon any neighbouring amenity. In addition, there are also a number of economic benefits which would be a complementary facility for Odyssey Business Park and other businesses in the area, including job opportunities and a contribution to the local economy by providing a budget hotel visitor accommodation within the area. Accordingly, the proposal is considered to be acceptable and is recommended for approval, subject to conditions and the legal agreement to ensure the long-term benefits of the proposal are secured. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, who wants to start me off? Councillor Tuckwell?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. A point around the runway. It's a small cul-de-sac off a very busy station approach. What account have we taken for commercial vehicle access, turning circles, pedestrian segregation and overall safety, because it is very tight down there, and we're always going to see an increase in commercial traffic serving the proposed hotel?
Thank you, Chairman. The developer has provided swept path drawings of vehicles manoeuvring within the development, and these show that a vehicle can enter and leave the site in forward gear. So in that respect, I'm satisfied.
Councillor Osborne?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Just been reading the electric vehicle charging points on page 113, and it says that they haven't been indicated within the submission and should be secured via planning conditions. So do we need to do that, or have I missed it in the report?
They're in condition 6, page 91, number 2D.
Okay, sorry, Chairman, I've obviously missed
No, that's all right. No, it's always a good double check, but they are there. It's 5% right around here. Yeah. But it does raise another question, though. It's 5% right on a hotel.
It would be 10% commercial units. Thanks, Ed.
That's a 10 then.
Yeah, so I can have delegation authority
Yes.
up that to 10.
Yeah, you will at the moment. So they're in there, but it said 5% and the condition should say 10. So that's, at least they are there. Any others, Councillor Edwards?
Sorry, can I just ask for some additional clarification? Firstly, on the size of the vehicle that can enter by and leave by forward gear. I mean, you said a vehicle, but whether it included all of our refuse lorries or delivery lorries is not been answered. And also, can you clarify that this 10% are all active, or is it active and passive? Is it active and another 10% passive? Thank you.
Oh, well, the highways officer can do both while he's talking.
Thank you, Chairman. The vehicle tested is an 11-metre refuse vehicle. The maximum length for a rigid vehicle is 12 metres. I would require that they are active electric vehicle charging points that are provided.
Given there's only 2 of them anyway.
Yes, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Yarrow, then Councillor Morse.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wondered, we're talking about living walls and roofs, that on page 94 we're talking about the Ministry of Defence want the bird hazard management plan. So how does this fit in? I would have thought a green roof was tantamount to asking birds and creatures to actually want to nest there.
That one? Very good question.
So there's no living walls proposed within the development.
There is a green roof.
There is a green roof. MOD have been consulted and they've raised no objections subject to their standard bird hazard management plan. And there's an additional requirement on the landscaping condition which
restricts buried trees.
Yeah, it says no more than 10% of berry-bearing species. So that will be covered in the landscaping plan as advised by the MOD.
Sounds like we're covered. Councillor Morse and Councillor Duncan.
I want to ask two questions. They're slightly contradictory.
Oh. I like that. Go on.
The first point is we have a suggestion here. This land has been considered for planning for use as a housing. The question there is basically what weight can we give to that argument, given that this is being used for hotel development?
So,
no, we'll do that one first.
So in 2015, this site was being considered, was put forward as a site allocation for as a housing site, but then over time it has been withdrawn. So it's, in terms of the EIP examination in August, this site is not progressing as a housing site. Then the reason that happened is simply because it became clear that there wasn't any intention to build out the prior approval for office to residential conversion that was granted back in 2015. So what we'd done through our site allocations, there had been some sites that had planning permission for housing that had been carried forward, but this site, because it became clear it wasn't coming forward as a housing site, it got withdrawn. But because that, so the only way that policy would be reactivated is if the inspector effectively takes a step we think is absolutely unlikely to happen, and the inspector says that I need the council to reactivate policy SA 21. But what I would also say in that regard is I think we'd have got some indication during the 4-day examination if that was something likely to happen, because it would have been discussed, put simply, and it wasn't discussed during the 4-day examination. Therefore, we think it's sort of come and gone and is no longer coming forward.
Therefore, it's not in the site allocations, therefore it doesn't give weight in this process, would be my interpretation of that. Councillor Morse, is there a second bit to your question?
That's a slightly more long-winded explanation.
Well, I just thought I'd do the short version. It helps.
Now, if you go back to 2007, Secretary of State for Transport,
So I'm going to do something that the legal officer would always tell me never to do, and reference another item. So the MOD safeguarding team have written to us, and they've raised objection to Bourne Court, which is why it's withdrawn from the agenda tonight, and they've confirmed they have no objection to Eagle House. In doing so, I know that the MOD safeguarding look at the shape of the building and the height of the building, because both of those are relevant to their radar systems. But they've done that, and they've said this application is fine.
The issue being is the objective of this policy was not to put concentrations of population under a flight path, which this hotel seems to be putting in a number of people in that location. We don't know. Obviously, we don't have a personal safety zone active, but what I don't understand is why, if there's information, they've done this, and they said there is no need to activate one. Have we ever been notified? Has anybody ever done it? Because basically, under the section, the CAA are responsible for activating this, and I just find it, I have concerns that we're putting a lot of people under a flight path.
I'll have to play. I suspect we've got the comments we've got. Am I?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't add to what I've said, I don't think. Okay.
I thought I knew I had somebody else, I just forgotten who it was.
Yeah.
I'll go that way then.
Yeah, just quickly, thank you, Chair. Again, about planting, it says in the report that this gives an opportunity for landscaping close to the embankment, and wherever we do have planting, can we have it incorporated into our conditions somewhere that we would like to try and maximise pollution reduction through planting? We're not, in Devon or Cornwall, we are in a
London,
very major area. And the fact that in condition 7, air quality is, I know there's an acronym, and it says that we would try and reduce the adverse impacts by such measures, etc., but not limited to.
What I would suggest,
and planting
I think
could
you
go
raise
in
a
there.
wider point, Councillor, which no doubt officers will take away, because I think it may not be the first time you've raised this particular wider point. I would suggest that condition 6(1)(c) is a suitable place for a little bit of enhancement of wording.
Yes.
Which would achieve what you want, but I think you make a wider point.
Yeah, but also in air quality, you could also put landscaping, because sometimes it's just an aid memoir to people when they're going through those.
Yeah, I would suggest we do it in 1C on this one.
Well, 1C, fine,
Would
as
be
long as we do mention it somewhere in conditions.
Okay,
I find that helpful.
I have no issue. Obviously, we are a little bit restricted on this, because obviously the berries and plants thing will override everything.
Yes, yeah.
But
if it's in an air quality management area, then I don't see any problem whatsoever with trying to get appropriate species.
No.
The only complication will be if it's outside one, whether we can
justify it or not.
Certainly we can.
But a fair number of, to be fair as a routine, and your point is valid, James, an awful lot of what Majors looks at is in AQMAs. Or not, we do sometimes manage to get ourselves out of air quality management zones, but an awful lot of the time we're in them. So I think as a general consideration, I think it's worth taking forward. Councillor Oswald and then Councillor Hagger.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. I think the green roof would help, wouldn't it? I think to a degree. But once again, who's going to maintain this green roof? I've raised this before in another application. Who's going to maintain it? I think it should be maintained in perpetuity, but by who? Thank you.
We only ever put a 5-year maintenance schedule, don't we, on maintenance, don't we?
James?
It's a question what's
I'll
reasonable.
be honest, that's not strictly true, because at an earlier Majors Committee, we ended up amending the condition to deal with the very point Councillor Oswald's raised. So I know which one it was. It was the Prologis at Stockley Park Phase 3. Mm-hmm. That was the one that the condition was enhanced. So if members wanted to delegate to me to use the same wording that we use for the green walls and roofs for Stockley Park Phase 3 Prologis, then I'm pretty sure that would address your concern.
The member has raised something that perhaps we should be looking routinely.
If I could come back, Chairman. I mean, obviously, if there's going to be hard landscaping or softer landscaping around the hotel, well, couldn't the same contractors or whoever it is maintain the roof as well? Because they're going to have to do that in perpetuity, aren't they? As long as the hotel's there and everything else that's there.
The roof is like you've got to get people to get up on the roof is always the issue, I think. But I think actually the roof, in reality, the roof is a bit that's likely to get forgotten. The stuff downstairs is likely to get looked at because that's attractive and people see it and so forth. The roof is the bit that you may find a few years down the line someone's kind of forgotten about. Councillor Hagger, and then there was Councillor Tuckwell, and I think this one can then move forward.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I may have missed it in the report, but I'm not sure. I was just concerned about the construction traffic. It's a busy road, we know that anyway. Extremely busy during the rush hour, and I didn't know whether any provisions would be put through.
Page 93, condition 13, is a full construction management plan has been put on this one, primarily to address that very issue.
Okay,
lovely, and that thank you. Because that does acknowledge the, as you say, very difficult site to access.
Brilliant.
And you can't access it from the back because that's the railway. So that will rather nails you down a bit. Councillor Tuckwell, do you have one last point?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a question in relation to the pedestrian access from the business park. Have we had any consultations with the Safer Neighbourhood team or the police? Because I'm just fearful that we might be creating another antisocial hotspot. We already have problems with the Arla site and the cut through that was built there between Asda.
Secured by design. Would that pick that up, James? It is there. I found it. I know it's there. It's condition 19.
it wouldn't, because of the way it's worded.
But could we change it
you
to
need
make
to
sure
change
it
that
does?
So it's the whole site, not
Yep.
just the building.
Yep.
And if you do that change, which I think will be wise.
I think it would be very wise, given the valid issues the councillor raises, because and social behaviour is creeping into some of these places now. So yes, thank you, Councillor Tuckwell. So I've got the changes on this one at the moment. As is condition 19 needs to be beefed up to make sure it covers the whole site. That we will enhance condition 6(1)(c) with regard to planting specifications. We will also make an amendment in condition 6 regarding maintaining of the living roofs. The one that nobody's actually pulled out, but the head of planning has, there is a prize for anyone who can explain condition 12. This is an MOD condition, but I did ask planning officers earlier, and they would struggle to understand. It's to do with controlling noise because it's under a flight path, but we're going to get some clarity as to exactly what it means, I think.
In simple terms, the MOD's referring to different standards than we, our own ASBIT team, use when they enforce noise conditions. So what I'd like delegated authority to speak to the MOD, not to water down the condition, but just to amend it so it's something that we can actually enforce.
Well, we won't know if somebody's breached it, and if the developer then asks us for clarity, we might have some trouble explaining it to him. Would someone give me a proposal to take me forward subject to change I've just outlined? Thank you. Thank you. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. That one done. Sorry, did you not vote? Sorry.
No, I'm going to vote against.
Oh, you're going to vote against? Sorry, I missed that one.
The CAA have not been given the risk assessment for this site.
Okay, sorry. Thank you to my clerk for spotting that one. Agenda item 9, 3 Ballsbridge Centre, Northside Gardens, Hayes, page 135. Ed, this is your one, I take it.
Thank you, Chairman. The application site comprises a 14,800 square metre industrial unit located on Northside Gardens and is part of the Ballsbridge Industrial and Business Area. The site is also within an air quality management area.
Isn't everything?
I can take members through the plans, the site location plan. These are the proposed 2 units. Here's the landscaping. You'll note the river, which is located to the south. Here's the layout as proposed. And there's the internal floor plans with the offices. And here are the elevations. So you can see it's a relatively straightforward industrial proposal within an industrial area. And here are some CGIs with some permeable paving proposed. A close-up of the landscaping. Here's an aerial photograph of the site as it is at the moment. And we have some photographs of the site. Okay, so planning permission is sought for the demolition of the existing units and the redevelopment of the site to provide 2 modern employment units consisting of 16,918 square metres of flexible employment for flexible employment purposes, to include light industry, general industrial and storage and distribution. Also proposed are ancillary offices, car parking, landscaping, service yard areas and associated external works. There is no objection to the principle of the proposal and the creation of 2 units for employment purposes. The units would be industrial in terms of their character and appearance, and so be in keeping with the industrial nature of the surrounding area. The scheme would provide appropriate facilities for future occupiers, and including acceptable levels of on-site parking, subject to conditions and a Section 106 legal agreement to secure, amongst other things, an air quality contribution and funding for improvements to the canal towpath. The application is recommended for approval. Members will note there are no addendum items. Thank you, Chairman.
Just a statistic that I think will interest some members given discussions in earlier items. There's 60 plus specimen trees being planted. So if members wanted to condition that...
Hey!
I've taken that from the bottom of page 160.
Well, that's more than we normally get, so we're going in the right direction. Any issues on this one?
I'll move the officer's recommendation.
Oh. I'll hold for Councillor Duncan, just briefly.
No, just thank you very much for that information, James. It's really helpful. But again, can we put that amendment into condition 5(1)(c) so that it does refer to that? I just think it's helpful. If people know they've got to comply with a certain thing, that's the pointer. It's no good going back and saying, oh, didn't you consider it afterwards? And also, this is in an area of poor air quality, but we don't have that air quality condition. Where we're
it's an industrial building?
Yeah, but even industrial buildings,
I'm just double checking.
Even industrial buildings, I think we ask for some kind of charging points and management plans, etc., don't we?
We've got a financial contribution towards air quality green construction improvements on the total, 104,000, 103,000.
That's a slightly different matter, Chair. It's about having enough charging points. What transportation plan do they have for all that kind of consideration, really?
The travel plan is in, isn't it?
He has got electrical charging points in it.
What I'm saying is that it's in an area of very poor air quality, and normally we do have an air quality condition relating to... And I think there are now proposals in the local plan...
I'm scanning fast at the minute.
...which say that all developments should be air quality neutral, at least, if they cannot be improved. So it's just in line with that as well.
He's going to guide me in a moment, I'm hoping.
I'm just wondering what we normally do with industrial buildings. That's what I'm trying to remember.
Well,
I know what we normally do on houses.
The point is that we have to consider this in relation to our own policies, and we've just had the local plan part 2 with more detailed policies included in it relating to that. So as from August, we've had the EIP on the local plan part 2.
What I was going to... The head of planning...
Why is he suggested... there is something missing here.
I'm not finding exactly what I was looking for, so what I'd like to request, if you could... if I could have delegated authority to speak to the air quality officer and then to refer any additional conditions or condition changes to the chairman and Labour lead, because it could
be very happy with that.
I'm not being specific, therefore maybe through chairman.
Yeah,
and
we have seen stuff before in industrials, particularly in things of very poor air quality, and we are definitely in one this time.
Yes.
So,
could I ask that when the head of planning has that discussion with the air quality officer, that also there is reference to this new policy that we have in the local plan part 2, because we have actually changed that policy.
Can we use new local plan part 2?
We've strengthened it as part of other legislation, which I think has come through at both national and regional level.
Okay.
I think that was what was reported. But yes, if you can go away and check that, please. I would
planning go away and check and come back.
Thank you very much.
We'll get this signed off subject to that coming back to us, and then we'll look at what comes back. Any other points on this one anybody's got? No? Councillor Oswald, you did move it earlier.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did. There's a little bit about air quality on page 156 under internal consultees about it being neutral, so I mean it's part of the report.
The thought process I had is it's 17,000 square metres of floor space, so it's quite a big development, and I'm not 100% convinced everything's here on air quality, so I don't think we'd be introducing anything that's unduly onerous given the scale of the development proposal, but I'd like to check with the air quality officer, and then I think the best thing would be to go back through Chairman and Labour lead.
to make sure we get it right, is the answer. I have a proposal. We've already delegated the head of planning to enhance condition 5(1)(c) with regard to planting, and there's a referral to come back to myself and the Labour lead on air quality, just to make sure we capture it. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Hagger. All those in favour, please show. That is everybody this time. Right, as I indicated at the start, I'm going to move the running order. I'm going 11 and then 10. 11 is the reserved matters for the Rainbow and Kirby Industrial Estate on appearance and landscaping. So not the principles here, appearance and landscaping only. Is it?
Yep.
Is it?
Thank you, Chairman. Item 11 on the agenda is in relation to land at Rainbow Industrial Estate. The application is for reserved matters of appearance and landscaping for the erection of 99 residential units, a 50-unit extra care sheltered housing scheme, 1,500 square metres of light industrial floor space, comprising 17 business units, and 611 square metres of restaurant cafe floor space, plus associated open space, car parking and landscaping. In addition to the two standard reserved matters, the outline consent required details of phasing, internal layouts, external materials, energy measures, plant and machinery and refuse storage. All of these details have been included within the submission. So if I can take members through the plans. This is the location plan, the site constraints, note the primary shopping area and the secondary shopping area. This is the proposed layout plan. It's proposed uses, so you should be able to see from that plan that the commercial uses are to the front, with residential here, and then the extra care facility is in this location. And there's the phasing plan that was requested. This plan shows privacy distances, so the separation distances between the buildings. All of the buildings accord with those distances. Members might note that these two buildings are quite close together. So the next plan is this residential building here is this building here. So you'll see at the point where they're closest, on the ground floor is refuse storage, and then on the floor above is a bedroom with the main outlook and only a secondary window that looks towards this building, and that's repeated on the upper floors. If we go through, you'll see they've submitted the internal floor plans as requested for all of the proposed buildings. This is the extra care facility, and you'll notice on each floor there's a day centre in the middle. Some landscaping details, residential units. Here are the proposed elevations, and that includes details of materials as requested. Details of landscaping. This is the external stores. Plant and machinery. And then further details of the proposed materials. And here's some CGIs that the applicant has provided. So the details submitted are in accordance with the outline consent and are deemed acceptable. The application is therefore recommended for approval subject to conditions, and members will note there are no addendum items. Thank you, Chairman.
Who wants to start me off? Councillor Duncan,
Yeah, I thought it was all going swimmingly until I saw that, which looks like a correctional facility. I mean, can't we have something more than grey and dark colours? I mean, it is meant to be, you know, somewhere where people are living. And also, if there's extra care units for older people, you know, can't we have something a bit brighter than that?
Well,
I mean,
I don't think that's the extra
the
care unit, is it? That's not the extra care.
No.
What does the extra care look like? Forgot that.
But it's all quite a dark palette, isn't it? I mean, if even the windows are not white but dark grey, there's nothing to lift it, is there?
I think it does. I think it doesn't help that these plans aren't in colour, unfortunately.
No, but we can envision it now that we've seen that, can't we? And that, you know, I thought it was okay until I saw those. I just don't like that colour palette. So if we're including materials, I think they're...
You know anything about the extra care facility? Have we got anything on materials for the extra care? No, it's not the floor plans.
It's very dark, isn't it, you see?
In any of the pallets, have we got the materials for the extra care?
I'm sure they're in there.
You look for them for a second. And have you got anything else on this one?
Also, my same point about the planting, please, if we could just have
I thought we might mirror that one.
Thank you.
We're getting... but this time... Yes, they can... They've got a whole schedule they've got to comply with when they submit the conditions, so we can put it in there.
Thank you.
That's easy. Because this is a reserved matter, so there is a schedule to come and we can just make sure it goes in that. Easy enough. Anybody else got anything else on this one? I said just kind of works out what colour it's going to be. Possible, we don't know.
What I'm just switching. So there's bits that are referred to as zinc surrounds for windows and doors, and they're the bits that appear almost black in some of the plans. So what I was whispering to Ed is whether we'd add an extra condition with final zinc details to be agreed, because that would then enable officers to have a further negotiation on the... if we go to the slide that I know caught your attention, it's the zinc bits are the... Yeah, so everything that's, so the black bits, the window surrounds and that, yeah, they're referred to as zinc on the...
Yes, I would appreciate it if something could be done to lighten those areas that are shown as so dark, because I do think it makes for quite oppressive living for people living there and working in those areas, and it's unnecessary. It's really unnecessary. I mean... It doesn't matter. I mean, I like the brickwork, everything else. I think fine, but let's just have something that...
So effectively members could either approve it, or if they have concerns about the sort of metally zinc features, condition, final, notwithstanding the submitted plans, final details of the zinc bits to be agreed.
Okay, let me just take that slightly wider, because obviously one member's raised, everybody else is sitting on their hands quietly, so let's just see which way... Well, no, it's absolutely valid. I just want to see what everybody else is going to say to me now. They're not catching my eyes, which is never good round here. Right, Councillor Edwards, your view on it.
I can very much understand where Councillor Duncan is coming from. However, it is very much a personal matter, and I do know that grey is a very modern colour now that's replicated in many, many colour schemes. And you look at properties that are being modernised, they too tend to go for black and grey schemes. So
you're relaxed.
I'm relaxed, but I'm also don't mind actually saying let the officers have the final look at this and ensure that it's actually in keeping with the character of the neighbourhood. I'm quite happy with that.
I think that seems reasonable. Yeah, you happy with that? And I'll also, officers, when they're that schedule that goes to fulfil condition 15 of the landscaping plan, again, could have some tree numbers in it to make sure it works. Yeah.
I know grey's popular, but not that dark.
Okay, well let's just let officers get a final look to make sure they're totally happy with it. I think that makes sense. Apart from that, we're comfortable with this one? Because there's no more hands going up.
I get a yes for everybody, so therefore I will move officers' recommendations.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder, please? Oh, Councillor Tuckwell, thank you very much. So first eye I catch you this game, especially this late in the agenda. All those in favour, please clearly show. Thank you. It's unanimously approved. Right, Councillor Edwards going to depart for the night. Oh, that's all right. and then we'll move through to item 10. Some people are back to due north. Okay, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman. So the final item this evening is item 10, land at Rainbow Industrial Estate. This application seeks to use the land for car parking and retention of 2 porter cabin units for a temporary period of 24 months. This is a continuation of the existing temporary car park use, which was allowed following an appeal decision in June 2017 for a limited period of 12 months, which expired on the 8th of June 2018. The site is leased to a third-party company who provide off-airport parking and also hotel overflow parking. It is submitted that the capacity of the site is approximately 500 car parking spaces provided in unmarked bays across the whole site. However, there are significant concerns with the continued use of this large site of approximately 1.3 hectares as a car park for Heathrow, outside of the boundary for the airport, which raises strong objections at both local and regional level, supported by national policy. I will take you very quickly through the site plan. This is the exact site plan, the accurate site plan there. You'll see the corner element there, which is the religious centre outside of the red line boundary. Access is to the north from Trout Road, single carriageway, and you've got St Stephen's Road, a residential street, residential properties here, and the new developments residential here on the opposite side of Trout Road. The carriageway here turned into a single signalised junction going over the canal. Some photographs of the existing site. So this is as viewed from Trout Road. This is the entrance there. Nice view of the site. These are the existing porter cabins. As you can see, there is bumper-to-bumper parking hard up against the boundaries of the site. So at 1.3 hectares, this is the view from St Stephen's Road. That's the access there. That's the Islamic Centre adjoining the property. That's the residential property there, number 20 St Stephen's Road, who've objected to the proposal. And so, obviously you can see from those photographs, the suggested figure of 500 spaces is questionable, given that that would account for approximately 44% of the total area. As you can see from those photographs, I think it's quite possible that number could be well far above that number. Notwithstanding the in-principle objection to off-airport parking, it is also considered that the proposal will actively encourage non-sustainable forms of transport and undermine attempts to increase the modal shift away from the private car usage and also harm the air quality. TfL have also strongly objected to the proposal. There's also an addendum to this item which confirms that the GLA support the reasons for refusal. Following the Stage 1 referral, the Mayor has considered the principle of the development is unacceptable in terms of its harm to transport and air quality. It also represents an unjustified increase in private car usage. The Mayor has therefore recommended that Hillingdon Council be advised that the scheme does not comply with the London Plan and draft London Plan. The application does not need to be referred back to the Mayor if the Council resolves to refuse permission. Accordingly, following the confirmation from the GLA, the committee report will be, or is recommended to be, amended so that the recommendation is that the application is now refused. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Tuckwell, then Councillor Morse. I went that way first.
Oh, right.
Councillor Tuckwell.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks for the report. I mean, again, I know this part of the world very well. I used to live just around the corner from here. It's way beyond the airport boundary. There's no traffic plan to sort of support it, and the impact on local residents is horrendous. So I'll happily move the officer's recommendation.
I doubt anyone's going to differ on that, but Councillor Morse may have something additional.
I would just view this decision a little bit of sunshine, because for a long time I thought a lot of the ancillary businesses associated with Heathrow create a lot of the pollution, and I think this is a step forward, and I agree with the Mayor. It's not just a big solution. You take some of the small part elements and remove them. I think this is a thoroughly good decision.
Good.
Councillor Duncan?
Yes, there's been a lot of local concern and opposition to this use. It is a large number of vehicles. They're coming down narrow residential streets. And, I mean, the St Stephen's Road one, there's the rear entrance to a primary school there. So, I mean, I do welcome this and thank officers for a very good report. And
okay. Well, I have a proposal.
I would move,
yeah. You're going to second?
It.
You're going to second for me? Thank you very much. All those in favour of refusal for the 5 reasons shown. Thank you. That one's refused. Thank you very much indeed for your time. 7 o'clock. We're done.